and I hear the helicopter coming in, but it sounds like it's freaking below me. And I've just got my not my sleeping bag out, my mattress, because it's bright orange to flag them down in like the clouds. So I walk onto the far side of the tent, and I can just every now and then see these lights flashing, and they're like 100 yards below me, flying in the clouds. And I hear this chopper like coming in. I'm like, I thought it was gonna smash straight into the mountain. And you see him coming in. Like, I mean, it's like sheer rock straight below me, and the helicopter's below me. And then they seen that they were about to fly into the rock wall, and then they pulled back, and then I just heard them leave, and I'm like, fuck, I'm here now for the next 4 or 5 days. What sucked was, in the panic of them saying, yeah, we're coming to pick you up now, I packed up and got super wet, like packing up in the snow. It was starting to drizzle out of them clouds. So I was already wet. My sleeping bag was wet. Everything was wet from packing up. I'm like, shit, I probably should start hiking out. And then so I looked at my GPS, and it looked at the time like it was a pretty gradual climb all the way down into this creek. Like, so there's a glacier up above me, and it's been melting for however many years, and it's carved out like a bit of a creek. And so it looked safe. And then I started climbing down, and the first, 2 hours wasn't too bad. Like, it was pretty gradual, like a bit of rock hopping and slippery stuff. And I had one little leap to do. It was like 2.5 meters or a meter down onto a rock to go out to this next rock. And it was like there was a big glacier pool below me. And it sounds weird, but you're calculating everything as you're going, you know. So it's like, this is the best place to jump down, because if I did fall, at least I'm landing in water. And that's just a 2-second process in your head, you know. And that's happening all day. Like, there's never a point that you can switch off in that country. Like, you're constantly on the ball, otherwise that's when you're going to come unstuck. Anyway, what I didn't realise was the rock that I was jumping down onto had actually quite a bit of a slope to it, and it had like clear ice, a layer of clear ice on it. Oh. And you got to remember, I got this chamois in my backpack and friggin' a wet everything, because I packed up in the wet, so the pack weighs a lot. And it weighs a lot anyway, because you're going back for like 14 days. Man, I hit this rock, and my feet come out from under me that fast that like it was just like full chest weight on the rock, bang. Started sliding off the rock backwards. So I'm on my stomach, sliding backwards, legs going first. And I slide off the back of that rock, and I got a heavy backpack on. So it just pulled me. Oh. I just started plummeting down to this ice cold water. Oh. And like back neck first, straight into the water. And I just remember hitting the water. It pulled me all the way under. Like it was a good enough fall, probably 6-7 meters down into it from where the rock slid off. And it pulled me under. I just remember my breath getting sucked out of me. Like it's crystal clear, like that blue water straight off a glacier. And it ripped me down. And then sort of I struggled to come back up and get to the surface. And by the time I got to the surface, because it was flowing pretty hard, it was pushing me into one of the drainage chutes from it. And then so I hit this drainage chute, sort of scrambling, trying to grab on. And then it pulled me down legs first as well, like down into the chute. In the next lot of water. Then by the time I got to that point, there was no going back up. There was no chance I could go back up, because it's dropped me into a spot where I wasn't on the sides of the bank anymore. I was stuck in this glacier melt. And then I ended up getting out of there, and I got to the next point, and there was like a big tree like falling down in the water. There's no trees on the side. It's just whatever's been washed down over the years, like a big stump. And I ended up wrapping my hand around that, my arm around that, get to my legs, and then like wade twice as much again, because now everything's, you know, full of water and soaked.
Anyway, you still have the pack on?
Yeah, I still got the pack on. And then I got up on the rock then, and it's just like one rock in all this water. And then it's a fucking long story, so I'll probably skip a few bits. But I end up like fighting with it for the rest of the day. And then I end up falling over another 2 times. One time I actually had to volunteer to jump. I had nowhere to go. I was just like stuck in this little canyon in the water, and I literally had to come up with the guts to be like jump into the next water chute, which is just like a slide cut out of the rocks from the water running down there for fucking millions of years. And I've still got my backpack on. I can't leave nothing, because that could be what saves me at the end of the day. I've got a sleeping bag. I've got other clothes in there. I got meat from the chamois. I had the skin from the chamois. I still had everything in there. And I like. Have you ever done anything where you fucking like properly got to convince yourself to do it? Because like I didn't know if that was going to kill me going to the next step or if that was going to save my life. And then so you're calculating all that and then having to have the guts to actually jump into the next chute of water and go down. Man, I just remember just fucking doing it. And I jumped perfect. I landed on the backpack. I put all the weight on the backpack, slid into the next bit, just like pumped with adrenaline, right? So I'm not even feeling the cold at this point because adrenaline's just going sick. And I end up going down a bit further, and then I could just hear this like deafening sound of water. And I'm like, fuck me dead, like what next? Because constantly it seemed to be like, what next, what's next? And I hear this deafening sound of water, and I get to the fucking edge, and it's like 400 yards. Straight down.
Oh my God.
And it's just like then it was like, no, there's no going any further. You're like, to go further is definitely deaf. You need to work something out here, you know. And it got to the point, it takes a lot of courage to even be like, I need someone to save me. Like, at least for me, because I've always, you know, like, it's the way that you're brought up, the way that I was brought up, because, you know, I'd never had the father figure in my life. I didn't have any of that, so it was always, everything I do for myself. That's why I never usually ask people for help. This is the biggest ask for help there fucking is.
Right.
And it's pressing the SOS button on the emergency device, you know, and it's like, and I sat there for 20 minutes and still pumped with adrenaline over that time. I fucking like getting adrenaline talking about it now. And then realizing there's fucking definitely no way off here. It's time to hit the button. Like, this is where you don't get to see your family again, or you don't get to do any of this again or live life. You need to hit the button and just fucking, like, still hitting the button hurt. And you got to hold it in for like 10 or 20 seconds. It was fucking the longest 10 seconds of my life. And like at this point, I've taken the backpack off. I took a jacket off because it was just so fucking heavy and wet. And it's sitting there. And I'm holding the button in for like 10 seconds. And it's like, then it's like SOS, you know, and it's like, oh shit. And then, but there's no reply to it or anything like that at that point. It sort of just says the signal's successful, as in sent, and that's about it. And it's getting late, and I'm like, I need to set up some sort of camp. I need to go for my pack, see what I can use, like what's going to work out here. And I pull my pack out, and then like I've only got a spot that's like the size of one body laying down to even stand on in this area. And it's barely flat. The only thing that's kept it flat is a tree's fallen off from up at the alpine tops at some point in its life, fallen down there. And then all the shale and rock that's fallen off these big washouts with the water has like leaned up against that big stump. So it's like laid out a flat bit. And I could fit about 3/4 of a little one-person tent on there. And so I set the tent up there. I set the mattress that I was telling you that I was trying to flag down the helicopter with. I'd set that just on there. That just sat on there. And then I pulled the sleeping bag out and it was fucking soaked. Like the sleeping bag was drenched and I'm like, it's still going to be something. And went for the rest of my pack. I pulled the chamois skin out and sort of laid that there, hoping it'd give me some warmth as well. And I've like stripped down then all the like bigger layers to try and get that off me. And I climbed in this wet, cold sleeping bag, which is the worst feeling fucking ever in that situation. Like you're starting to think like this is the end. This might be death. And I climbed in there and I was trying to get warm. And then I kept looking at that signal, but my phone, like it's through my phone. It's usually through my phone, sorry. My phone had already died. So it's just through the little device. And remember the old phones, how you had to go through the fucking alphabet on them to type a message? I'm trying to type a message to my buddy that was keeping tabs on me as all this was happening. And the message just went out as in, I need help. And he, like I've been around this dude for forever. He's one of my best friends. So he knows what I'm like. He knows if I'm like, I fucking need help, that it's not good, you know. And that message, I didn't know if it went out or not. I had to turn it off because I had like 4 or 5% in it. So I shut it down. Anyway, I'm laying in there, and then obviously the adrenaline's calming off, and I think I dozed off for a little while. It might have been 40 minutes or so. It's like a power nap. And I woke up and my body was just quivering flat out, like from fucking deep in. It was just quivering flat out, and that feels like death. That actually it scared me because I couldn't stop. I was just fucking quivering flat out, like my core's trying to warm back up.
Yeah,
and it took me a little while to think about that because I ended up shutting myself down. I stopped myself shaking. And then I was like, you fucking idiot. That's exactly what your body's supposed to do. It's trying to warm up. And then I sort of loosened up again and it started shaking. And then I went to move this arm and this leg and they wouldn't move. Like I couldn't move them. And then I was like, oh, shit. Like as in the adrenaline. It was from that first fall, I think, or it was from the jump that I did. I don't know if I'd bruised it. I don't know if it's about nearly hypothermic. I don't know what really happened there. I just couldn't move that leg and I couldn't move this arm. So then that scared me a bit too. And I started thinking about Kim and the kids and like shook me up. And I got teary as well, which was weird because then I fucking warmed up. Like when all that happened, I was starting to warm up. Anyway, I tried to sleep. You can't sleep here in a wet sleeping bag. It's free. Like everything's fucking frozen around you. There's fucking rocks rolling from the top of the fucking mountain down into the river. The creek that's now turned into a river. There's rocks rolling down there. You're listening to that all night. There's like smaller debris and rocks hitting the tent. It's just like, and you can't move because I'm on a pad this big. Anyway, I don't even know how, but the morning came at some point. I got up, turned the GPS back on. No, there was no message, no nothing. So I hit the SOS one last time and I held it in. Nothing. I think I sat around for the first couple of hours of morning, like just holding my chest and stuff like that, trying to get warm again. And I got to the point and it's like, no one's coming for you. Like, it's fucking on you. And that was the best thing that happened to me because it was almost like I hit the button and it was almost like a give up, as in like, oh, someone's coming for me. It's fine. You know, and then it wasn't till I realized and said to myself, no one's fucking coming. Just fucking get up and do something. And I was like, I'm fucking going to start a fire. Even if it takes me half a day, at least this is turning. Let's try and start a fire. Let's do something, you know, like fucking stay in it. And then so I started pulling all the different rubbish out of my bag that I'd carried from the trip. Started piling that up. There's like no branches or anything around, so then I'm back at that tree where my tent was and I'm trying to carve into that tree, like to try and get into the middle of it, try and find some dry, because it's, you know, it's been raining for, you know, a day and a half now, maybe even longer down low because I descended so far down. And then I'm trying to get in there and I'm like, oh, I'll burn the tent, what else can I burn? You know, I started thinking about all the things that I can burn. I'm like, yeah, if you're here for another night, you can't burn any of that.
Right.
So I left the tent set up, left the chamois skin in there, and then I just got it to the point where I was like, I could probably start a fire now. It's not going to last long because there's no wood on it. It's just all, you know, trash that I had in my bag. And then I started thinking, what else can I do? I'm like, you know, I'm going to build a fucking helicopter pad because there was no, you know, it was all sheer, like no commercial helicopter could land there. Only a rescue helicopter at that point could pick me up from where I was because they could drop down a rope and lift me up. But if I build an actual pad, I knew once the weather cleared, I could just call in the commercial helicopter to pick me up. So I was like, fuck it. So I start grabbing like rocks. There's just rocks everywhere. And I was going to build basically a retaining wall and then start filling it. It would have taken days to do, but I was just keen to keep busy. And then I was fully trapped. I could not go back up. I couldn't go up the creek. I couldn't go up the sides. I definitely couldn't go down low. And that roars the whole time right beside me, just screaming, that water pumping down there. Anyway, so I start collecting rocks. And then I thought I heard a fucking helicopter. And I was like, fuck. And this is 5 or 6 hours now after morning. And I'm listening and it's getting louder. I just see this fucking big helicopter bank up this, like, it's a fucking, you're in a draw system in between these massive mountains and it just comes cruising straight around. And I was like, holy fuck. Like, I was like so fucking pumped. And then this arm still wasn't working. I got this leg to start working in the morning. This arm still wasn't working properly. And I was so fucking pumped. And the dude comes around and he gives me the thumbs up. Oh, fuck, man. My thumb must have been so straight. I was like this, you know.